what's happening now on the transition? Because I know you're getting deluged with people who are raising their hands, wanting this post, wanting that post. The reports, and I don't know if they're right, but the reports are that Marco Rubio wants or is being considered for state. Tom Cotton wants or is being considered for defense. Would RFKJ have an actual cabinet position now that the Republicans are going to control the Senate as opposed to being a non-confirmed czar type guy? Like, tell us what you can about the transition.
Yeah, listen, I was actually with RFK yesterday. We definitely do want to, honor the promise that we made, make sure that he's involved in whatever capacity sort of he wants. And I think he'd do an incredible job on the stuff as it relates to health. I spoke with both Tom Cotton and Marco yesterday. I sort of want to make sure that we're surrounding my father with people that are actually going to be helpful, not people who are, unelecteds that think they know better than what the vision is of the duly elected president of the United States. We had too much of that last time. I think that's what frankly scares the swamp so much is that Trump now with knowledge doesn't just trust me that, oh yeah, I'm on your side. I mean, I've also fielded a lot of those calls from people I haven't heard from in 4 years. Hey buddy, we're with you all along. It's like, okay, like if you haven't called me in 4 years, just lose my number now because you probably aren't.
You must love that.
So I don't want to confirm or deny any of those things. I'll let those guys do it. Not all of that information is accurate, but we'll get there shortly. But we're going to make sure. I'm going to make sure that the people that surround my father are both loyal to him and competent. You can have loyal and incompetent. That's not a great combination. You can have competent and not loyal. That's a terrible combination. We need both. But I think this time around we actually know who those people are. We're going to bring in a lot of people from outside. Elon was there at Mar-a-Lago yesterday with my father. Talking about Doge. I mean, I think to me. I mean, honestly, as much of a
Doge's
proponent
Department
as I've
of
been
Government Efficiency, he's going to start shrinking the size of government. Keep going.
I think to me, I love what RFK can do to health. I have 5 young kids. I want to make sure I'm not poisoning them, when they have a meal. I think that's incredible. I'd love to let him go wild on some of these things, or at least shed some light so the American public understands exactly why we are where we are, exactly why we're so fat, exactly why we're so unhealthy, and why it seems like so many people are trying to keep us that way rather than let us be healthy. But the Elon thing is incredible because when you have the opportunity, Megyn, to put the Einstein of our era into a position like that where he's willing to do it. I mean, this guy, in a few years, he's outperforming NASA, who's been doing the space thing for 75 years. In a few years, publicly funded. This guy's catching rockets, that the greatest geniuses in our government, I use that term somewhat loosely, are incapable of, I want that guy doing that. I want the guy that's literally taken on entire industries and changed the way we look at the world, whether it's communications, whether it's transportation, whether it's the space race. I mean, that is, to me, an opportunity. That's a once in a generation, if not once in a lifetime, if not perhaps longer, opportunity to
Don,
get our country on the right track.
He said something at the summit I saw him at in September, Elon, about how the amount of red tape he had to go through to get those rockets launched, the permission slips basically from the feds, and said, I do think there's something wrong when it takes longer to get the permission slip than it does to build the rocket. And so not only will he be looking for ways to streamline the feds, but to get rid of the constant red tape we all have to go through in everything. And who better than Elon Musk to do it? All right, I got to go, but I want to ask you one question before we go.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and that is when I've been watching your dad over these past couple of months, I see somebody who is, I don't know if it's wiser, he seems more reflective to me. I just feel like we're going to get a president who's, of course, got all the fighter vibe that we know your dad is built of. Yeah. However, he seems like, I believe him that he really would like to be a president for all Americans. I believe him that if the Democrats will give him a chance, he'd be happy to hear them out. He's not going to enact their agenda. But you tell me what you've observed about his state of mind as he goes into this next huge challenge.
Also, I think, candidly, and by the way, before I even get to the answer, I really appreciated your comments the other night in Michigan. I thought that was incredible. It was just incredibly well done. I actually walked over to thank you. I know you had to run, so I missed you by about 30 seconds, but I thought it was incredible. And I think you're 100% right. He gets that. The interesting thing, and I've said this from day one, and most people don't see it. What's interesting about my father is and it's perhaps his biggest political liability in a certain way, is that he actually has a lot of empathy. You see that come out in the campaign and the stories. Like 32 years ago, Donald Trump did this for me, and like we had no idea what was going on. Or the people that have worked for him for 40 years. That doesn't happen if you're a dictator, if you're literally Hitler, Megyn. But he's unwilling to show those things or that side of him because he's like of the mindset that, hey, how do I, go negotiate against Putin if he thinks I'm soft? It's an old school mentality. It's a little different. But I do think, I do think perhaps the assassination attempts, I think there was a little bit more that it brought out perhaps a bit more of a spiritual nature. That's way too much coincidence to just be coincidence, right? I don't believe in that level of statistical coincidence. I think that's an impossibility. So I've noticed that, or a willingness to sort of show what's always been there, but something that he hasn't always been willing to show. I've seen that ever since July 13th. I've seen it the way he is with me. I see it the way he is with my kids, his grandchildren. He's always been great with them, but it's a little different. And I'd love to see, the Democrats do that. I hear about them talking about unity, but I'm like, these same people that, talked about unity wanted to put me in jail for life or worse, the death penalty. They've said this out loud. And I was like, for things that we all acknowledge now just didn't exist. So I always joke, I understand I'm not the upstanding citizen that Hunter Biden is, but I feel like I was treated a little bit differently.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I see it too, and I'm looking forward to seeing what your dad does with it when he becomes president and they do the all-out assault again, because nobody believes that they're going to try to give him a fair shot. I don't believe that, and that's why we need his fighter nature. But I don't know. I'm feeling more optimistic about our future as a country than I have in a long, long time, Don. Thank you so much for all your hard work, and congratulations.
Thank you, Megyn. I really appreciate it.
Oh, still such a great day for America and our best days ahead. I really feel it now. Can you imagine what this team of Marvel is going to do? That's what we should be calling them, the team of Marvel, with Donald Trump and Elon Musk and J.D. Vance and RFKJ. We're going to get into the RFKJ thing in just a little bit. The New York Times got this long piece against him. And they're talking about people like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. You guys know him. He's been on the show many times. If you are tired of the same old coffee from the big mega corporations pushing their woke agendas, listen up. It's time to take a stand and support a brand that truly embodies American values, Blackout Coffee. They stand with hardworking Americans who believe in family, faith, and freedom. They roast some of the most incredible coffee you will ever taste using only premium grade beans, roasted and shipped to you within 48 hours. And for the cold brew fans, Blackout Coffee is excited to announce the launch of their 2 new ready-to-drink cold brew coffee latte options. Don't settle for less. Make the switch to Blackout Coffee. Head on over to blackoutcoffee.com/MK or just use the code MK for 20% off your first order. blackoutcoffee.com/MK. The code is MK. Join the movement. Taste the difference. Remember, with every sip, you are supporting a brand that stands for America. Be awake, not woke. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.